Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meet the Winemaker, pouring Tuscan stories one bottle at a time, episode number 3. Now, if you are a wine professional looking for a new winery to feature in your list, if you are a wine writer looking for a nice story, or if you are simply a wine lover chasing for those authentic realities that are not so easy to find in the heart of Tuscany, this is the video for you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Claudia Callegari, and I am the founder of the Callegari Wine Room and the Toscana Wine Club. And out of my experience, I'm constantly looking for stories like these. And now my goal is to let you hear from the direct voices of the winemakers the stories that have been fascinating for me over the last 20 years of experience in this business. Together with me, my co-host, Mark Norman. Mark has been in the beverage industry for a lifetime. Now he calls himself an American wine lover and is a very precious help and support in this video series and in getting really the best and most authentic stories from the heart of Tuscany. But let's get to today's featured guest that we scouted. The topic, the name of this event is Can Winemaking Be Profitable? And we are going to hear that from the real voice of Carlo Parenti. Carlo, thanks for accepting our invitation, and we are very happy to have you here.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm very happy to be with you.
So, Carlo, first of all, I just want to say hi to everyone joining in directly, but also to the people that are going to watch the replay afterwards. We already have some friends from Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Atlanta, Grand Rapids. Wow, lots of people coming in, so very, very nice. Keep writing where you are connecting from, and let's make this small, a little bit smaller for Tuscany wine lovers. Now, Carlo, let's get straight to the point, to the main topic of today's interview. You have a very specific story. I remember the time when I walked in your winery and I heard your story from your voice, and I really remember the look in your eyes, which were eyes that were very proud of the challenges that went through, the goods and bads, the uglies. So tell us a little bit about your journey in your life, coming from a bank in Milan to becoming a winemaker in Suvereto, because this is something that also my audience or our audience may have, that Tuscan dream that many people talk about, but only a few people can actually achieve. What inspired you to make such a significant change in your career and in your life?
So I was in my other life. I was a banker. I worked in a very interesting project in Milan. It was one of the first internet banks in Italy, and it was a great opportunity for me. It was one of those jobs that everyone would have dreamed of having back, but this is also the opportunity to think if it is exactly what you want from your life. So I thought about it, and my answer was negative. So I tried to understood what could be my life in the future, and I was driven by my passion. I leave my job in the bank, and I attended a master in viticulture and winemaking with one of the most famous professor in Italy, and then it is a very long story, but so at the end of this master, I did a stage in Suvereto. This famous professor told me about this area in Maremma on the Tuscan coast, because the university thought that it is a very high potential area, and I went there for my stage, and at the end I went back in Milan, and I was without a job. I found myself in Milan without a job, but I was so crazy that during my stage I bought a very small field full of rocks at the top of a hill. And then sometimes life is like sliding doors, and I met during a tasting in which I worked as a sommelier in Milan. I met a man who was the director of Petra. Petra is the biggest company in Suvereto, more than 100 hectares of vineyard, and 8,000 meters square of cellar designed by a famous architect. And so he asked me if I was interested to work with them. And so I was 400 kilometers from this small field I bought, and I found a job at 1 kilometer far from this place, from this field. And so I started to think to my project, and 2 years after I leave this job, and I focus on my project. And the first years were really hard.
Carlo, before you get into the challenges, I have this map of Tuscany. Imagine that the people following us might be on the other side of the earth. So can you just tell us a little bit about the position that you are talking about? Because Suvereto is not a name known worldwide.
It's very important to focus for a while about the position of Suvereto, because when we think to Tuscany, we are always thinking to Chianti Classico or Montalcino. We are speaking about the inside of Tuscany, the classic area, and Suvereto is exactly the opposite. Is on the Tuscan coast, and with a different climate. It's nearby Bolgheri, which is for sure much more famous, and is the place where they grow the international variety. It's interesting to tell about the story of this area, because about 40 years ago, the Antinoris family and the Incisa della Rocchetta thought that this area could be interesting for international variety. And so Bolgheri is well known for the international variety. They started to grow Merlot, Cabernet, and the other international varieties about 40 years ago. In Suvereto, at the beginning of the 18th century, there was Napoleone Bonaparte, who gave to his sister Elisa Bonaparte the territory, and she was the princess of Piombino, which is the main town there. And
where I live.
yeah, of course. And Elisa Bonaparte started to move the international variety in the area of Suvereto. So we can say that the international varieties are autochthon in Suvereto, because they grow them. They started to grow them more than 2 centuries ago.
Yeah.
So all these things to say that Suvereto is really a different area from the rest of Tuscany.
Mark.
Yes. And as you're talking, Carlo, I'm thinking to myself some of the things I've done in my life and major transitions that I've made. Obviously, banking is a very stable job, but to switch from that to investing your life into winemaking must have involved a lot of significant financial risks, and especially as a banker, you understand financial risk. Can you share some of the financial challenges you faced and how you managed to deal with that?
This is a complex question. I think that in a retrospect, I would say that from a financial point of view, a person who makes a choice like this can make it mainly because he finds himself in one of two circumstances. Or he is a very rich person, or he's a very crazy guy. Unfortunately, I'm not in the first situation, probably in the second. And yes, it's really hard to start from nothing, a project like that. And it's really hard to reach financial sustainability.
Especially when working
Sorry?
in organic and especially when working organic and biodynamic, which is something that really characterize your job. While you're talking, I will just share on screen some images of your beautiful estate and the green. And your beautiful daughter, by the way. What's her name?
Chloe.
Chloe. How old is she now?
She's 8 years old.
Oh,
yeah.
So cute. She must be so proud of her dad. Okay, so sorry, that's my mom feeling, so getting back, it must be even more difficult when working organic and biodynamic, right?
Yeah, it is. We have such less instruments, such less tools to fight against the problem. The problem during the spring season, and it is for sure harder than to manage a vineyard in a conventional way. But it's not only the main you manage the vineyard. The main point is that when you plant a vineyard, you have to pay a lot of money to plant the vineyard and mainly to manage the vineyard till the moment in which you will start to pick the grape and to produce the first wine, and then you have to pay all the cost till the moment in which you will start to sell the wine. So it's a long time. Normally we can say 10 years, but if you have the money to start with a big project, you will after 10 years you will start to probably to earn more money. If you start with a very small project, I started bottling 1,400 bottles. So when I started to sell my bottles, I didn't start to earn money, nor to cover all the costs to manage the vineyard. So it is a very long way, and if you don't have an amazing passion for your job and also a little madness, you cannot do that.
Well, I stopped on this picture because I really like this very strict sentence, wines without compromises, which in a way answers my previous question about your choice in applying sustainable and biodynamic practices, both in vineyard and in the winery. If you would go back, would you still make that choices?
Of course. Actually, I think for me it's not possible to go back to think to go back to city. This is really my passion, and is a different way to live. And also sometimes we are used to speak about organic and biodynamic as a way to manage the vineyard. I think is a philosophy, a way of think, and so I cannot imagine to manage the vineyard and the cellar in another way. For me, I respect people who work in a different way, but for me, this is the only way to tell about a territory, to use the wine as a tool to tell about the territory. So we try to process the grape in a way in which we reduce the manipulation, and we put in a bottle the terroir and the variety of the grape we use. So you cannot say anything else than that wine speaks about this territory.
Very nice. Meanwhile, we have some new friends joining us. Erika from Florida. And then we have Chuck, Mark Norman's friends. And then we have a user asking about if your place is where Andrea Bocelli lives. I think Andrea Bocelli Teatro del Silenzio is a little bit more north and inland, right? But not very far. I think
it's not so far. It
takes you a little bit to
go. It takes you a little bit to go because the ways are not straight, but it's like 30 kilometers, I think.
Yeah. Okay, moving forward, Mark, up to you.
Carlo, I was going to ask you, based upon, did you think what you were doing is financially rewarding? And I think you've kind of already answered that. But as somebody who's very involved in growing things myself, you and I share a deep passion for what we do. And I know it will be probably in the future that you'd be able to answer about the financially rewarding, but do you believe that following your passion has been rewarding to you as a person?
I can say that the first reward, the first benefit you can have from a choice like this is the way you live and the way you can follow your passion. Because if you look only to money, it's not the right way, the right choice. I mean, Macchion de Lupi is a micro winery, so we cannot take economic advantage from the economy of scale. We cannot look for a large pool of mass consumers, and we have to look for people who have passion for a kind of wines, and people who are looking for something who can tell about the culture of a territory. And this is not the mass target, so it's only a small percentage of the people, So it's not.
Carlo, I would say that, after doing several of these with Claudia, I think the audience is very much made up of those kind of people who you just described. One kind of footnote to the passion and being rewarded. If somebody, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were people listening right now, what advice, after you're going through this, what advice would you give somebody who's just considering starting this, or is just starting down the same path? What advice, after you've done it and you know what's coming, what would you tell somebody who's just starting?
Sorry, Mark. I cannot understand exactly your question.
The question: if you ran into somebody today and they told you, "Hey, Carlo, I'm going to start the same thing that you have done," what advice would you give them?
Please don't do that. Don't do that. No, I can say that, the warning. Don't do it at home. So I suggest to avoid. No, I can say, I'm serious. If you have money, I'm sorry to be so material, but if you have money, you can do it. If not, the risk is really, really high. I consider myself really, really lucky, because in some situation I took the right way. For example, we always speak with Claudia about the Vermentino, which is a really interesting variety. I grow it in an amazing place, maybe one of the most magic situation on the Tuscany coast, which is the Baratti. How can we say, harbor?
Gulf or
It's
bay.
It's a place where the Etrurian people were since the 8th century before Christ, and is a magic place. And so I'm producing this really interesting wine. I called it alos, which means salt in ancient Greek, and I think it can give you the taste of the Mediterranean Sea, and is a magic wine. And another wine I'm producing is Odyssea. Is the variety I use is Ansonica. Is a local variety from the Tuscany coast and from the Tuscan Islands. And when I planted it, they all told me that I was crazy, because it's a variety which has a lot of problem. It's hard to grow, hard to process, and actually is one of the way my winery is became a little known. So I was very lucky, and if I was not so lucky, it could be a bad story.
So, Carlo, we have some questions from the people joining. So I will just read through the comments. First of all, we have Jill. Ciao, Jill. asking about the soil type here. What is your total production now? And then a question about manual punch down, which I'll show later.
Okay. First of all, soil. I'm right. So
yes, the soil type.
Soil type. One is in this picture is a special soil which is going to the red, if you see it, and is full of steel, of metal, and is full of rocks which destroy by how can we say it's rocks with stratification which destroy by strati, diciamo, non saprei.
Layers.
Layers.
Gets in different layers.
And Claudia, you don't have this picture, but I don't know if I'm able to show you this. This one or this. You can see this soil with small, very small parts, and is a soil with volcano rocks inside with lava. And it's the only soil like this in the area. There in Suvereto, there's no volcano for sure, but there is the geothermic activity, which a lot of centuries ago brought up this lava, and in the centuries it destroyed in very small pieces, and so this is a very interesting soil. It's like a soil you can find nearby a volcano, but it's unique.
And I'm sure it contributes nicely to the freshness and the vibrant acidity to your wines. That's something that I was first fascinated about your Vermentino wine when we first met.
The style is also a choice. We started from the vintage 14 to avoid to look for extraction, and so we went in a different direction from the other producer from this territory, and we are always looking for freshness and for elegance, and we are always looking to avoid to have high alcohol. So it's totally the opposite of the style of the territory. But in my opinion, is another way to express the true essence of the territory, because the very high alcohol, high powerful, large body wines are not are something who was appeal 30 years ago, and actually it does not have sense.
Now we are looking for finesse and elegant expression of the terroir. And what's your total production against the continent?
Around 20,000 bottles.
Okay, and there was another question about the punch down, which you do, obviously.
Those are a nice picture, but are from a lot of years ago, and then I stopped this way to process the grape. I mean the punch down, and I since the vintage 14, I started to reduce the extraction, and I'm used to realize a kind of hole in the head of skins, so I can take the liquid part from the under the skins, and I wet the head of skins in this way, but I reduced totally the extraction, and that's became my style.
Yeah, yeah. Now we have other comments from a user. It says Tuscany is the focus, but if not Tuscany, what other region of Italy would you have considered to making wine?
Today, the knowledge about the process and the idea to give value to different terroir.
But is there a specific region in Italy that you would consider as a choice?
Saying, this idea drove people to give more value to a lot of different places in Italy. So actually, there is a big focus about areas which were not considered a couple of years ago. Mainly, for example, Abruzzo is became a very important area, and a couple of years ago was nothing. And so we all are looking for an interesting terroir.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we have David saying hi from London, and Philip is mentioning that Suvereto Valdecornia is so fascinating, and we absolutely agree. Now, talking back about your wines, Carlo, how did the market really respond to your wines? I mean, they have been supporting your cause since the beginning. Here's a nice picture of your entire portfolio. So it's nice to hear nice stories, but then we all need to face the fact that the market is very harsh sometimes, and big brands often wins after smaller or hidden appellations. So how, in your opinion, the market and the customers responded to your wines and your story?
Yeah, this is another interesting focus and argument. When I started, was really hard, also because was hard to propose natural wines, and I started trying to sell my wines in every restaurant on wine shop around my place, and it was really difficult. I mean, I was so lucky also in this situation, because a few years ago I met another producer who introduced me a wonderful project which is called COVIBio, Consorzio Vignaioli Biodinamici. Is a consortium in which 8 small producers from different areas of Italy, they self-distribute their wines. And in this way, I changed my life, because I started to sell my wines to people who are interested in my wines. And this is really the way I changed my life and my job, because at the beginning, sell wines which express a territory was more difficult than sell industrial wines for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. Well, I think this comes to a close. Mark, any other questions you would like to add?
I think, I had some thoughts about other questions, but I think Carlos in his answers have covered what I was going to ask him. So yeah, I think we can wrap this up.
Sorry?
Just to mention the fact that
I'm sorry.
all these beautiful wines are available either directly from Carlo, if you are a wine distributor or importer or anyone in the industry interested in getting in touch directly with Macchione dei Lupi. In this final slide, you can see his contact detail. Or if you are a wine lover that is looking to receive straight to his home some very niche wines that have a story to tell, as we could absolutely see. Myself have selected the Alos, which was the first wine that really I was fascinated about from Macchione dei Lupi, and Esperienze, IGT Costa Toscana, which is a 100% Sangiovese based wine. His vintage 2019 is available at the Toscana Wine Club. And I think that this wine, Esperienze, really wrap up all the experiences that Carlo has been in his life, in his journey. And so I thought this was a nice label to close this conversation. Now, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, Carlo. Thanks, Mark. Nice conversation. Look forward to come and visit you in Tuscany.
Of course. I wait for you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.
Thank you.